corre, marica.
Dios mío, bendito.
Daños completos. Pereira. Vámonos que...
A powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake has struck western Colombia, leaving a trail of destruction across some of the country's most heavily populated cities.
Está temblando fuerte. Miren. Son las 7:36 de la mañana, 10 de agosto del 2026, acá en Cali, Avenida Roosevelt con 43.
A powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake has struck western Colombia, leaving a
The
trail
quake
of
hit at
destruction across some of the
7:34 in
country's
the morning
most
local
heavily
time,
populated
with its
cities.
epicenter located near the small town of San Jose del Palmar in the mountainous Chaco department, roughly 250 miles, or about 400 kilometers west of the capital.
Uy, así está Quito estos momentos. Se nos habla de muchas personas atrapadas en este edificio. Era de 4 pisos y se vino abajo.
But what happened next was even more alarming. Search and rescue teams were forced to dig through collapsed buildings as reports of casualties continued to rise. According to the latest reports, at least 111 people have been killed, 87 others injured, and around 1,600 buildings damaged across the affected regions. At least 61 buildings have completely collapsed, and authorities warn that the full scale of the disaster may still not be known. The epicenter was located near San Jose del Palmar in Colombia's Chaco department, roughly 400 kilometers west of the capital, Bogotá.
Estamos bien. Terremoto. Ay, mira la catedral, mira, se cayó el santo, se cayó.
The town itself has only around 4,800 residents and sits in a mountainous and difficult-to-reach region. Despite the earthquake occurring far from Bogotá, the shaking was felt across a huge part of Colombia. Residents in Bogotá reported buildings shaking and alarms going off, sending people rushing outside. Fortunately, the capital avoided the worst destruction with only limited damage reported. The situation was dramatically different farther west. In Cali, Colombia's third largest city, buildings were damaged and some collapsed, leaving people trapped beneath debris. Rescue workers and civilians joined forces, forming human chains to move rubble as they searched desperately for survivors. Pereira was also among the hardest hit cities. Local authorities reported dozens of deaths in the Risaralda region where Pereira is located.
The mayor described the damage to buildings there as extremely serious. In Manizales, in the neighboring Caldas department, at least 2 more deaths were confirmed, and video from the city showed the tower of the historic cathedral collapsing, becoming one of the most striking images to emerge from the disaster. Additional fatalities were reported in the Chaco department near the epicenter, in the town of Quibdó, in Colima El Darien, in Zarzal in the Val del Cauca department, and in Tamasis in Antioquia.
Por pouco não salimos, muchachos. Ay, gonorrea, temblor tan asqueroso.
As search and rescue operations continued through the day, the confirmed death toll climbed steadily. Early counts put the number of dead at around 20, but within hours that figure rose sharply, with some news organizations reporting the toll had climbed to at least 29, and others citing local officials, who said the number had reached as high as 47.
The destruction was not limited to major cities. In Chaco, officials reported injuries and serious structural damage, but assessing the full situation has been difficult because many communities are isolated by mountains and dense jungle. Communication problems have also complicated rescue and damage assessments. Authorities say more than 1,000 buildings have been damaged, while airports in several affected cities were temporarily suspended as officials inspected infrastructure and assessed the danger.
¡Salite de la casa, estúpida!
And there is another threat that residents are now facing, aftershocks. Colombia's Geological Service confirmed that the main earthquake was followed by additional tremors. These aftershocks can be dangerous because buildings already weakened by the main earthquake may collapse without warning. That is why authorities are urging residents to stay away from damaged structures and remain alert while emergency inspections continue. But why was the earthquake so powerful?
Está allá. Creo que se viene, sabemos que se viene. Puta.
Colombia is located in one of the world's most active seismic regions. Its western and Pacific areas are influenced by the complex movement of tectonic plates, forming part of the broader Pacific Ring of Fire. Earthquakes are not unusual in Colombia, but earthquakes above magnitude 6 are relatively rare. The Geological Service described Monday's 7.4 magnitude earthquake as the strongest recorded in Colombia during the 21st century. The disaster also comes at a particularly tense moment for the region, following devastating earthquakes in neighboring Venezuela earlier this year. For Colombia, the immediate priority is now clear: finding survivors, treating the injured, providing shelter, and reaching communities that remain difficult to access. International assistance has already begun to arrive. The United States announced $15.5 million in emergency aid for shelter, food, and earthquake response, while several Latin American countries offered rescue teams, medical personnel, supplies, and other assistance. But the operation is far from over. Search teams are still moving through unstable buildings and piles of concrete, hoping to hear the sound of someone trapped beneath the rubble. And as authorities continue assessing remote communities, the number of victims could still change. For thousands of Colombian families, this earthquake has transformed an ordinary Monday morning into a desperate fight for survival.
Muchacho, así quedó el estudio mío, mire. Ahí estaba el estudio mío, mire cómo quedaron todas las paredes. Mire cómo quedó la casa al lado. Mire.
The ground may have stopped shaking, but for the people living through this disaster, the emergency is only beginning.
Todo está hecho un caos.
Ya, tranquila, Marcela. Cálmate. Tranquila, Marcela, tranquila.
Thank you.